Wilson Morales from Black for Me TV. Hey, Josh, how's it going?
How are you?
Good. With this season, I feel Royal. Season one was Royal was all about what is going on, and season two is more like, can I handle what is going on? How
Uh,
else would you describe season two of Josh, where his mentalness is at?
no, I think
Royal.
that's really well put. We've been talking about how kind of introverted, how you film something that's as introverted as Royal was in the first season and keeping everything in and being so frustrated and being so contained. And now that he's admitted what he's admitted, hoping that everybody is going to kind of celebrate him for his honesty. And it turns out that it's just a completely chaotic but very colorful recalibration of everybody in the family unit that it's the stuff of good drama, hopefully.
you know, Knowing that nothing ever shoots right, back to back in sequence, does it ever get confusing for you as far as what year am I at now?
You know what, man? It was more confusing to me just because it was new in the first season. I think, Charles Murray and I got together, and I think we just kind of geeked out on this whole timeline uh idea of like, let's put ourselves in these places specifically, and can they crosshatch, and can you go from one year to another? Do you come home, or do people always end up somewhere else? Do they end up in the ethers? And it was just us going off on kind of sci-fi tangents that were a lot of fun, a little masturbatory, but a lot of fun.
Now you've done other projects, you've played roles multiple times, obviously, on film and on series, now that we're here season two, and I always say like with season one, you don't know because we're just introducing characters. And for an audience, they want to know that they're gonna come back for season two and they can, get comfortable and invested in it. At what point did you get invested into the character? Was it during season one? Was it when you were coming back for season two? At what point do you like, okay, I am Royal?
No, I think, you're always like, Sicario's a really good example, because I didn't know from the moment we did the first scene in Sicario, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't have a hook. And Denis and I laugh about that. And I didn't have a hook. I didn't know what it was. Who is this guy? I think there was something about meeting Brian Watkins and Zev Boro, Brian, who came up with the idea, and then they both developed it together. It was always intriguing to me because I was getting offered a lot of different TV stuff, and I hadn't done TV in a long time. And I'd seen some really good stuff out there. I'd seen Ruffalo do some stuff, and I just seen, it was a different type of TV that I hadn't seen, and they were taking more time with it, and there was just more talent involved. So it was a really interesting concept to me to just, you weren't just doing a daytime soap of warring families. You threw this other element in, a sci-fi element, and things that I was always really interested in as a kid, with Ray Bradbury and Isaac Asimov and all these things that would just kind of challenge your perspective over and over. And then you had these really colorful reactions behaviorally. And I was like, why would I not want to do this? I understand it could fail miserably, but then again, everything I do feels a little on that edge. So, and it's more intriguing to me now than it was then. So I didn't see that coming.
You've done your share of sci-fi. Obviously this is a series. For those who haven't caught up on season one and now hearing about it because there is a season two and they know there's a commitment there for this series, what's a good reason to tell them to, catch the show besides you're in it, it's a sci-fi? What other entanglements can you bring into the show that will say, okay, let me check this out?
It has to be something, you can bring people in with a name or that kind of thing, but it's word of mouth when it's a good series. If I'm walking around, I've done enough work where if people recognize me out on the outside, and the majority of them are saying, when do we get a season two of Outer Range? That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing. They're not saying no country once in a while. They're saying only the brave once in a while. Sicario, a little bit more. I've gotten more about Outer Range than probably anything out there right now. And I think that that says a lot. It says a lot to what people want. They think it's colorful. They think it's dynamic. It feels interactive. There's amazing actors involved. You have Lewis Pullman to Tom Pelfrey to Imogen Poots to Tamara Podemski. You have Will Patton, old school. You have me, old school. You have Lili Taylor. it's like there's a lot there, man. But ultimately, what it comes down to are compelling stories, well acted. And I think that it's there. And filmically, I think it looks great.
Hey, congrats on a season 2. Let's see where it goes. Let's see how far Roy can figure things out. And we'll talk down the road.
Thanks, buddy. Great
Take
to see
care.
you. Wilson.
Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, how's it going?
Hi, Wilson. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. You never know at what point, what area we're seeing with autumn. It can be a little bit confusing if you're lost.
Yeah.
How else can you describe what we're getting from autumn this season?
Well, I think there's more of an emotional grounding to her, in the sense that her relationship with Cecelia, played by Lili Taylor, that kind of offers a window into something very safe and also vulnerable for her. I think the men seem to be more easily manipulated, but yeah, it's such a ratcheting up at the end of season 1 that I feel the dial is slowed down a little bit in moments this season, which is cool.
I think with any series, when you get a season 1, people are always hesitant to catch on unless they know it's going to be renewed. Because, you're always introducing characters, but because it's not it's not unlimited series, you want to make sure that is that renewed, because that way I can get invested. For you, who've worked on plenty of projects, film and TV, at what point did you become fully invested in playing this role? Was it during production? Was it when you got renewed? Or was it during the second season?
Oh, it was definitely season 1. Yeah, it was kind of as soon as, I loved the scripts, and I loved our original showrunners, Brian Watkins and Zev Burrow. I also really loved Charles Murray on season 2. But for season 1, I was there. I understood how ambitious it was, what they were trying to pull off. I'm a big fan of anyone who's willing to take a risk and anyone who's financially going to back that risk. So I thought the cast was insane. Like, from that first table read, I was just like, wow, this is a wonderful room. So I was invested from that point on. And yeah, it's a very immediate thing. Doesn't always happen. But it was cool.
This is an original series, like there's a lot packed in here, from sci-fi to Western to family drama. You need a script supervisor, especially when you're talking about the time periods. Like, okay, where are we now? What's happening? What year are we in? So like when you think about playing the character of Autumn, and then obviously we won't reveal so much in there. How did you get invested in playing Autumn outside of what the script called for?
I think, well, with a character like her, it's so crucial to find that backstory, because I need to know what's motivating her choices, and they might not be good motivations, but at least I know what they are. So yeah, sort of work around that. And also, it wasn't too much of a stretch for me to, I feel very, as I'm getting older, I feel, what's that? There's a line in Waiting for Godot, and he says, we must turn resolutely towards nature. There's that sort of, that idea is pretty interesting to me. And I think autumn encompasses that too. There's a sort of people, but nature, So yeah, I enjoyed that. And I also enjoyed making links, her and Will Patton's character. There's sort of something magnetizing between them that isn't explored in this season. And so you can look in other places in the show to confirm your own character's agenda or being,
And like I said, and there's a different type of dynamic between obviously your character and Lily, your character and Josh, and with everybody else. That it's almost like you're getting a different person each time. It's like, how does that work when we're seeing, like I said, without giving so much away, where your attitude is different between each of the characters you have scenes with.
Oh, it's amazing, because the only reason Autumn exists is because of the other characters. It's sort of, she's such a she's a puppeteer, but she's also constantly in reaction to other people. But I actually love that. And I love the way that, this is such an insane cast that any scene I had with any of the actors was so cool, because you just have to be completely truthful and present to that dynamic, but also you're exercising, as you say, like it's a different muscle of the character, and each of them pulls something different out of her, and she's able to do the same back.
You say pull something out of her. Now, for you as an actress, having worked on different projects, and now you have 2 seasons invested in this, where you're playing the same role, and you're obviously 2 different showrunners, different writers. what has worked with, in a way, your skill set that you can take on to other projects having done this series?
Well, this was a very special series for me because I really became incredible. I mean, they're like family to me, everybody who worked on this at this point. And just an exquisite bunch of gentlemen. And then Lili Taylor's become, like a sister. So that's very special. And I think that's quite rare. So I take that with me, on to other projects, but also just the nature of the job was very it's a very cool time of life for me. I love living in Santa Fe. It's like an artist's town. There was life drawing classes beneath my house. Like, it was just sort of everything about that experience was very special. And it's weird, sometimes you work on something and your life starts to reflect that, and you can kind of everything informs each other. Everything informs itself. It's cool.
Well, it's good to see you back, season 2. Let's see where we go from here. Let's make it a season 3 if we can, and we'll talk down the road.
All right. Thank you
care.
so much. Nice to meet you. Bye.
Well, Samara from Black Film TV. Hello, Lili. How's it going?
Hi.
Good. So, Cecelia's going, I always say each season the characters go through some changes. And obviously we're seeing a lot from Cecelia this season. What more can you say without spoilers?
Well, it doesn't lessen. It does not lessen from season 1. In fact, season 2 picks up right like 1 second after season 1. And it's off to the races. And that gives good drama. That's good drama.
You get to have more scenes with Imogen, than before. And so there's a lot going on within that relationship, and so, like, coming in, I always say, and I've been talking to the different actors, so it's, when you get first season of any show, it's about introducing characters and seeing where they're going to go. And with a show like this, you definitely need a season 2 because it's not limited. So you want to see where these characters are going to go. Now that we're here with the season 2, how comfortable were you playing Cecelia, where you got invested? Was it during the first season, or was it when it got renewed, or was it during season 2?
No, it was at the beginning. It felt like, and also, mind you, it's like it was COVID that first season. We were on a 90 million acre ranch or whatever, one of the biggest ranches in the United States. And there's just no option but to commit fully. Yeah. And I'm glad, because I feel like everyone committed and now we're totally in.
When you think about what's happening with some of the characters in the show, are you more pro going to the past or going to the future?
Future.
So there's no going back, huh?
Nope. Nope.
There's no
move
going
forward.
Back. So you move forward. So then when you look at a show like this, and it's sci-fi, and the thing about sci-fi is that there are no right answers, and that gives the writers something to play with, because you don't know where it's going to go. What can you say in regards to playing Cecelia that you can relate with?
Oh, well, getting her daughter back. I mean, not that I've had that experience, but the love of a child and doing anything for that child. I can connect to that very much. That's an easy one. I can anchor in very easily to that.
When we watch the show, and obviously there's the dynamic between your character and Josh, at what point did you guys work together so that we, the audience, can see the chemistry there between a couple, a married couple with kids with issues?
Yeah, I mean, I when Charles got us together for season 2 and said, I really want to explore their relationship and I want it to get real, and I love that, because I think we're fascinated with relationships. I mean, obviously, because that's what we're meant to be with other people. We're not necessarily any kind of relationship, but we're not meant to be alone. And so I think as humans, we love stories that people figuring stuff out. And Royal and Cecelia did. And I felt like I didn't know if they were going to make it, which I liked that too, not quite knowing if they had what it was going to take.
Yeah, but that's the case. I think, when you're watching any type of show, there's never so much of like the happy couple,
Yeah,
at some point or another, there's got to be some strife there,
I hope so.
And so when people are now knowing there's a season 2, and now they can get invested because, there's commitment there from the talent, from the producers, from the network. what do you say to newcomers who are now coming into this and brand new and having to catch up on season one, why they should stick around for season two, or for those to, to now watch all of it?
Yeah, I think that tune in. It's a unique show, and that I think anytime we get to see something that's going to help us look at something a little bit different or experience something we haven't experienced, it's just good. It's good for us, and there's people out there who really like the show, who want to talk about it, and so you can share, with other people. And I think that's also really important. We like to experience things together.
Appreciate you talking to me. Obviously, let's hope we can see how far this character goes, as well as the show. We'll talk down the road.
Yeah. Thank you.
Wilson Morales from Black Women TV. Hello, Tamara. How's it going?
Hi, Wilson. I'm well. How are you?
Good. So Joy's on a little discovery this season. What more can you say?
Of Joy's discovery?
Yes.
Wow. It's kind of mind-blowing, and I think that was one of the most fun parts of this season, to put myself in the position of witnessing another world in another time. And I think it was also kind of it was incredibly emotional, because it's where we come from, and to revisit a time of such disruption, especially in American history, of such pain and suffering and trauma, and to know what we know now and be able to visit the past in that way. It's I think it was there was constantly a personal feeling of processing and remembering what went down in America.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
I always say, think about any season, when it starts off, the first season is always about introducing characters and waiting to see how well they're fleshed out during the first season. And then once you're coming back for a second season, it gives the writers a chance to okay, let's see where we get to explore this one. What would you say the biggest change in Joy has been from season one to season two?
I think there's a freedom of her to really process the conflict that she carried in season one. She was compromising values for the sake of possible conviction. She was in the middle of a murder investigation. She was also compromising values in her marriage for the sake of a job promotion. And you remove those pressures and put her in a different place and time, and she has a freedom to really make sense and make different decisions about how she wants to live and walk in this world. And I think you're so right. When you're finished introducing the character, you also know that the audience has that information, and so you then can go deeper, and that they know everything they need to know to then catch up, to follow and track where the character is at now.
At what point did you feel confident or invested in the character? Was it during the first season when you knew you got renewed, or now? Sometimes, you do work and you're like, let's wait to see where we go.
I think there was definitely a moment in season one, mid season one, where the Joy started to really get haunted by her desire for greater things that pulled her off course. That to me was very interesting, when a character gets very conflicted with who they are and who they want to be and who they know they need to be and should be. So I feel like mid-season one, I got to really sink my teeth into who she was, and then it was just embodied from there, and I trusted. I know who she is, so now you can throw her in any situation, and she'll come through.
You as an actress, having done 2 seasons now, and you've worked with different writers and directors, what did you learn skill set wise as you go through this character and play her that helps you out to whatever project you do next?
Well, for sure, season 2, we have a bottle episode, a very special episode for Sheriff Joy, and I've never had that. It was like Sheriff Joy show for, it took 3.5 weeks to film episode 204. And that level of absolute absorption into a role that I've never had the luxury or privilege to be able to do that. So tool set of just like how to take care of yourself with that workload and that that teamwork, and how to keep yourself in check to handle that. I feel like I can do anything now after surviving episode 204.
And then a quick note, for those who are catching up now that we have in season 2, what's a good reason to watch Outer Range?
I think we're in a climate right now where we are reconciling our actions, reconciling the past. I think kind of across the globe, we are in that state. And this is a really incredible environment and time travel offers that, where we get to look back at our actions and we get to either decide how we move forward, if we're going to continue in that same path, or if we might want to correct the stories and move them in a better direction. I think everyone can benefit from that.
Pleasure speaking with you. Let's see where we go from here. Take care.
Thanks, Wilson.
Wilson Morales, Black from TV. Charles Murray, how's it going?
What's happening? How you doing?
Good. Not many people know it's the Charles Murray. He's like, on Outer Range? He goes, yeah. How did you get on this project second season?
I was approached, it's like the thing with a lot of streaming shows is that there are huge gaps, and so I was approached to see if it was something that I would be interested in, and I watched the first season and I went, this is really good. And I'm a huge fan of Josh Brolin, and he and I talked about the show and what I took from it and what I felt I could bring to it. And then, I talked to the producers, and then I talked to Amazon, and I said, I don't think this is something that you have to change direction on. I think it's just something you have to expand on and really drill down on how these people are emotionally handling themselves during this time. And they were like, welcome aboard.
When you come on to a show, second season, and obviously you saw the first season, how much of it is trying to somewhat keep the same tone as the first season and including your vision?
I think when you're dealing with serialized shows, it's all about keeping the tone, because it's not like but you know what I was about to say? It's not like a procedural, but even a procedural has a tone. CSI has a different tone from Law and Order, right? Even though they explore different cases from episode to episode. But when you're doing something where it's like kind of the bulk of one story, you got to be real careful about making big changes, because you're going to throw off the actors, the people who are still connected from season 1, then you're going to throw off your audience, and that ain't worth it, And so there was a really well-laid groundwork to kind of just lift off from what was season 1 and not have to concern myself with, you know me, I ain't into this whole ego thing about like saying, well, how do I stick my imprint on something? Because I think like it's storytelling, and that's where you do it. And so I was so interested in this perspective, because even though those people were from Wyoming and they were, cattle ranchers and whatever, I recognized a lot of my family in it, And so I just kind of like thought, here's a chance to explore a lot of things that my family dealt with internally. Here's a chance to talk, get a lot from Brolin about how he deals with family, how his family has dealt with him, and just kind of like injected into this fantastical situation.
Can it ever be confusing knowing it's time travel, it's sci-fi, and I always think that when you're into a season 2, there's an investment there by the producers and the network that like, okay, we're going to get a new audience. Let's give them something they can be comfortable getting into without losing them. And like, I don't know where this is going.
Well, here's the thing, you can't, this is one of those shows, it's like Game of Thrones, it's like The Sopranos. You can't watch season 2 without watching season 1, right? So we had to make sure that you could connect the tissue. What our job was to elevate what was going on, to heighten what was going on. So even if you know, because spoiler alert, the season 2 picks up like maybe 8 seconds after season 1 ends. So if we had come in and said, we're leaving season 1 where it is, and we're going to go to a different point of storytelling, then yes, you got to think about like, okay, you got a brand new audience. Let's say they don't watch season 1. They can start from here. It's its own self-contained thing. And then they go back and watch season 1. I understand that. That isn't what we were creating.
You know, that's, it's always good to see you back, to obviously you have projects to keep promoting and stuff. To see Josh on TV, it's not that often we get that, even Lili. So congrats on the show. Let's keep it going. Let's hope there's a season 3. I'm sure, it's not going to end where it's not a limited series. So we just got to keep it going. I'm sure you and the writing team will come up with something to keep daggling us. So congrats again. I'm sure I'll see you down the road, whether in New York or in LA.
It's always good to see you.
All right. Take care.
You too, bro.